Okay, so we are back with a completely different drummer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Gene Hoglan.
Hi there, hi there, hi there, hi there.
And if Gene's sitting over here, that means that we're getting ready to do some Dethklok stuff. So really briefly, there's a lot of you out there who I'm sure who know who Dethklok is, but just in case you don't know, there is a television show on Cartoon Network called Metalocalypse, and it's about a death metal band that is the most popular band in the world and is also a bunch of celebrity idiots, for lack of a better word. And it's a comedy, and it's a really funny show, and you should watch it. But more importantly to us is that this fake band on the show actually produces real music that is very popular among metal fans, and I actually really dig it myself. And when Dethklok goes and plays live, the way it works is that there is a giant projection screen behind Gene and I and Mike Keneally, who's also on guitar, and the creator of the show, Brendan Small, who plays lead guitar and does all the voices. We'll be on stage, and there'll be a gigantic screen behind us with the cartoon characters playing the music. But of course, what's really going on is we're playing the music. We're serving as a pit band for them. And the way it all works is because this video up here is generating a click track that goes to his headphones. So he's really driving the whole show. Aren't you, Gene?
Indeed. You know, when everything runs off one CD and, one DVD actually. And when that goes, when they hit the start button on that, it just goes for the entire hour of the show. And, there's a couple of breaks here and there for some skits. And once it's all over, that's when we walk off the stage. But, the show is super fun. The live show is amazing. And, if you get the chance to catch it, I strongly suggest that you do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when the show starts, it's like a train that's just rolling downhill because it's just one track that's got clicks and, some background vocals on there and stuff like that. Generally, it's just a click that just drives the whole show. So what happens is that we'll get up there and the click starts and the show starts. Now, if you want to see live Dethklok, you got to go to a live Dethklok show. But this is a bass instructional DVD. So what we're going to do here is give you the chance to see a metal rhythm section isolated in action, which you don't often see because really metal is all about the guitars and, well, the kick drums. But now you're going to get a chance to see the oft-neglected bass player in action in a metal sequence here. So a couple things for bass players out there. First of all, the thing that you need to know about Dethklok is that all guitars are tuned down a major third, which means that the low string is C. So my bass is tuned C, F, B flat, E flat. So the low note sounds like this, which I think sounds really cool. Now, string-wise, because we're tuned down a major third, it really wouldn't make sense to have regular E, A, D, G gauge strings on here. So what I do is I take the lower 4 of a 5-string set, the B, E, A, D, which are really thick strings, and then tune them up a half step to C, F, B flat, E flat. And those are the strings that are on this 4-string bass. So these strings, they feel like telephone cables, and they're super heavy, and they're thick, and they sound great for this kind of thing. But, all that kind of bass nerd stuff aside, when it comes down to this stuff, what you're going to hear, since we're playing this in isolation, is a lot of repetition. Our job is to be really, really consistent and really make sure that we're playing to the click and that these riffs are just driving into the ground and they're consistent. So when I'm using my finger technique here, I need to make sure that I'm attacking the strings consistently. One of the techniques in metal, obviously, is a gallop. And a gallop is just 4, 3, 2. You take your 4th finger, your 3rd finger, and your 2nd finger, and you strike them on the strings like this. Really fast so that it just goes. Now, it's one thing to just go. You can do that, but the key is to make sure that each one of these fingers strikes the string evenly. So, okay? And in the Deththeme, which is the first song that we're going to do, there is a lot of that's the pattern. So you've got a strike and then a gallop right after it, and then 2 8th notes, which sounds like this. Except I'm doing it on the low string. So you've got the typical metal technique there of galloping. But again, even on an old technique like galloping, which has been around since the early 80s, you want to make sure that you apply it with real consistency. Then, in the middle of the song, I have to do something really fast. Basically, it's this lick. But really fast, like now, I can't do that with my fingers. My fingers can't move as fast as Gene's feet. That's just a fact of nature. But what I can do is I can take my 2 fingers together and curl them down like this and turn them into a kind of pick. so that I can take them and put them on this string and flick them back and forth. So if I'm going to do that, I make sure, again, consistency is the key. You got to make sure that your upstrokes are just as even as your downstrokes, like this. Okay? Because in the middle of this, I've got to go. Okay? So galloping and flicking are the two key metal-based techniques that I'll be using to play what Brendan lovingly calls the "Hey Hey We're the Monkeys" of metal, which is the theme to Metalocalypse, which is called the Deththeme. Hey everybody, look, I'm sitting down and I'm wearing different clothes and there's no band. That's because I forgot to mention something in this part of the presentation that I wouldn't want you to miss out on, and that is my finger technique when I play with Dethklok. You know how we talked before about finger placement and finger pressure? You know, when I'm playing pop, I'll play really soft. And when I'm doing funk, I'll play tightly and push against the string. Well, when I'm playing rock or metal, I do this thing which I like to call strike force, which is like I'll actually wind up from all the way out here, strike the string straight through like this. So I'm generating a lot more power through the string. But the other thing I'm doing, I'm not like just going and like wailing it. I'm just winding up from far away so that my finger can flick across the string, because what I'm really trying to do is simulate the sound of a pick hitting it. Now, I don't play with a pick. It's not going to sound exactly like a pick, but it's going to give you that chime and attack that I think that really works for rock and a lot of metal stuff too. So there's a big difference between playing and you can just hear the top end of the chime on the note there. So especially if you're going to do stuff like galloping, I mean, that wouldn't sound the same if it was like this. It wouldn't even come out. So what you want is that nice chime to hit the string. Okay, and then if it's going to be galloping, it's going to be like this. So there you go. It's just a difference in the way that I attack the strings when I'm playing hard rock and metal as opposed to pop or jazz or funk or fusion or any of those other idioms that are not metal. So, and now back to your regularly scheduled programming.